Good morning, everyone. We are so excited that you're here. Welcome to A Bringer of Love, Healing, and Wisdom with Stephanie James, transformation coach, psychotherapist, filmmaker, and author. In fact, she has a new book out, My Big Fat Juicy Life and Everything After. I'm Charissa Sims, live event host for Humanities Team, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to make conscious living prevalent worldwide by 2040. And I'm coming to you live from Lafayette, Colorado. I also wanted to welcome Stephanie James' audience, those streaming live through Humanities Team Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Stream Plus members that are here with us now. Welcome. Thanks for being members and for being on camera. We're so grateful to you. And I wanted to do a special shout out to the Sign Network with John and Summer Raymer at sign.network. Because it is a live program, we will have time for comments and questions. Try to get your question in within the first 30 to 40 minutes of the program. And you can post it in the chat because they're all being monitored and you may get your question answered by Stephanie James. So this is an incredible opportunity to speak with her. And let me share more about Stephanie. Stephanie James is a seasoned psychotherapist and transformation coach, a dynamic public speaker, published author, filmmaker, and live event host for Humanities Team. Stephanie is also the host of Igniting the Spark, a worldwide weekly podcast on Mind, Body, and Spirit Network. Stephanie talks with international influential thought leaders as they share their wisdom and genius. She has an unrelenting commitment in her personal mission to bring as much love and healing to the world as possible. Her work has ignited the sparks in thousands of others to create powerful transformation in their lives and change their pain into possibilities. That's incredible. Stephanie has published 3 books, and her most recent is what I mentioned before, Your Big Fat Juicy Life and Everything After. Welcome, Stephanie. How are you today?
I'm great, Carissa. Always happy to be with you.
Yes, and I do want to say Stephanie is as authentic off camera as she is on camera. So she's the real deal. And I so appreciate her energy and presence. And I feel like we've seen each other a lot lately.
I know it was so great. Just a couple weeks ago, we got to be in person with one another at the Sacred Awakenings event.
I know. That was amazing. And I do want to take a moment to honor Steve Farrell, the CEO of Humanities Team, because it's his birthday today. Yay!
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Steve.
Happy birthday. We are so grateful for you and for having this vision for co-founding Humanities Team with Neil Donald Walsh. So that Stephanie and I can be here with you all today. So amazing. But yeah, Steve and Stephanie were the co-hosts of Sacred Awakening Live. How was Sacred Awakening Live for you, Stephanie?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I was just absolutely pumped up for 3 full days. It was intoxicating being in that environment and with such a huge high vibe tribe. And I love talking to the audience. I love interacting with the audience. So it was just so beautiful. And this is one of those events too that means so much to me. Whenever I've done my own events, it's been so important to me that the presenters actually stayed and they're part of the audience. So it's like we're all there supporting one another, and it really gives the message that we're all the same height. We are all light bearers in this world. And so, that was our purpose, to help ignite people's torch within them and to realize that they absolutely are the same as far as we are all connected to the divine. The divine is in us, as us, and comes through us. And so to really ignite people to carry that forward. So it was so beautiful to be there with so many wonderful people and again, I mean, the audience was so beautiful. The speakers were incredible. And of course, the behind the scenes things were so fun too, to just connect and go out to lunch and dinner and really just, it's like humanity's team is this beautiful family. And that's what the event was. It was like this beautiful family gathering.
Yeah, that's incredible. And everyone that was there, I felt like they became our family too, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
it was like one big family there, and it was just amazing because, as you all know, most of what we do is live stream or online, and just what an incredible opportunity to connect heart to heart with everyone. So if anyone was there, either live or on the live stream, you could put it in the comment. We'd love to hear from you. And I also wanted to mention a comment from the chat. This is from Rosa. Wow, what a special day. Happy birthday, dear Steve. Thanks to God for bringing you to the world to make the world a better place to live in. Wishing you the best of the best beyond your imagination. Lots of miracles. And then all these really cute emojis. So.
So sweet.
And then we do have someone who watched the live stream. Incredible. So Christine says, grateful to have been able to enjoy Sacred Awakening live stream. I did hear from several people that the live stream was incredible. So thanks to our technical team, Garth and Jim, running that behind the scenes because I know it's so much work. Yeah. So, also there is a lot of praise. Oh, we got Ryan too. So me too, Christine. Oh, he was there too. Well, thanks, Ryan. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. Well, we appreciate all of you tuning into the live stream. It was really special for all of us. And I was also wanted to share some testimonials about Stephanie because she was the co-host with Steve Farrell at Sacred Awakening Live. Are you okay if I do that, Stephanie?
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So Stephanie James brought such warmth, wisdom, and sparkle to the stage. As a host, she held the entire experience with grace and presence. And as a presenter, she lit a fire in my soul. Her energy is magnetic.
Wow.
That was
Oh,
really good
thank
fun.
you. Thank you.
And I'm going to read one more. There was something so grounding and inspiring about Stephanie's presence throughout Sacred Awakening Live. She has this rare ability to connect deeply while also elevating the entire room. She is a true force of light.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Carissa.
Well, we hope to see you all there at the next one. And now I want to go deeper into who you are, Stephanie. How have your formative years and past events impacted your work as a psychotherapist, speaker, and transformation coach?
Well, that's a huge question, really. When I think about how everything has informed what I've done, I think it's the same journey for all of us as far as our life events, the different things that we go through. You know, not everything in my life has been perfect and wonderful and happy. And sometimes it's out of the greatest heartache or the greatest pain that some of these beautiful openings or awakenings happen. And so that's true for me as well. I've had marked things that have happened in my life. I didn't plan on being actually a psychotherapist. That wasn't my first love getting out of high school. I went
Oh,
to
what
art
was it?
school. I
Are
went
you
to
going to
art
share?
school. Yeah, I went to art school my first year in
Okay.
LA. So I thought, well, I'm going to be a fashion designer, or I wanted to be an interior designer. And that all kind of got derailed when the next year I had gotten accepted. Now this is going to date me. It was
You
1986,
don't have to
and
say the year.
well,
We
I think
love
it's
the 80s, okay?
yeah, I love the 80s, but I think the important thing, while I'm saying it was 1986 when I was supposed to go over, I got accepted into the Art Institute in London. And that summer was when the American embassy was bombed in London. And so both myself and a friend of mine that were going, both of our parents said, you're not going. And like like, I think so often happens, it was divine intervention, because that's when I ended up talking to a family friend in the psychology department. And he said, Stephanie, you're a natural. You know, I have the advisor's number right here. I can connect you to. Why don't you go talk to her? And so you could say the rest is history. Like, that was not my plan, but that was the divine's plan. And so I just feel so blessed in my life. I think even when I think about Charissa being here right now in Santa Fe, and I don't know if you know that story, but I feel like my life has been this series of what I call listening to that inner GPS, because it's just been, I think it was the last week in January. I was living in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I was in a therapy session talking with a client, and it was suddenly like time just took on. I don't know if anyone, in the audience can relate to this, when all of a sudden time feels like it just takes on almost like this different dimension, like it really slows down. And the inner voice said, "You're moving to Santa Fe." And I was just like, "Oh, okay."
That's
And it was,
pretty clear.
oh, and it was so
I mean,
clear. Yeah.
the place, even the place, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it'll be a voice that says, you need to move, you know.
Right. But this was absolutely direct. And so I have to share with you the reason that I really listened is because it had only happened one other time in my life, 32 years previously, when I was on this ski vacation in Vail with a bunch of friends. We were all
Sounds
up at
like
my,
fun.
it was so fun. My aunt has a second home there. We were having the time of our lives skiing, taking the gondola up the mountain in the evening, having margaritas. I mean, it was just like this really fun event. And then the night before we were getting ready to go home, I'm brushing my teeth and there was the voice again. Now, at the time, I lived in Denver, Colorado. I was a single mom and I was working on the adolescent psych unit of the Care Unit Hospital. And when the voice came in, it said, "You're moving back to Fort Collins. You need to move back to Fort Collins," actually, was exactly what it said. "You need to move back to Fort Collins." And it was so strong, I was in tears. And one of my friends I was sharing the room with, she's like, "What's going on?" I said, "I don't know, but this is so strong. I'm going to listen to it." And what ended up happening the next morning, and again, Charissa, this is so interesting because I'm not someone who remembers dates, but I will always remember this one because it was January 14th, that Sunday, when I called my mother. My lease was going to be up February 1st. So I called my mother on the 14th and said, "Mom, I don't know what's happening, but I'm moving home. I'm going back to Fort Collins. I don't have a job. I just know I need to come home." Well, the first serendipity, she says, "Well, Stephanie," she said, "that's so interesting because our renter isn't renewing his lease. So there's a place for you February 1st. And so I said, "Okay." So the next day I went to work. I gave my 2 weeks notice, moved back to Fort Collins, and within a week had a job. But Charissa, here's the thing. 3 weeks to the day that I moved back to Fort Collins, I got a phone call from one of my girlfriends that I worked with at the psychiatric hospital. And she said, "Stephanie, the adolescent unit has closed and we've all been laid off." And the front page of the Rocky Mountain newspaper said, "Psychiatric abuses charged."
Wow.
So, unbeknownst to us, there were scouts going out around the nation, finding kids, bringing them into treatment. This is before managed care. And those scouts were getting a $5,000 kickback. Of course, all illegal, all unbeknownst to us.
Oh,
But the
wow.
hospital never reopened the adolescent unit under that hospital. So I would have been a single mom, just signed a new lease, no job, and it would have been incredibly stressful. But because I listened and made that decision, made that move, um, everything was just seamless. And so the same was true when this happened
Yeah.
just recently. And it was
So it
like,
kind of like made no sense. Like the Fort Collins message made no sense. Yeah.
yeah,
But you still felt so compelled. Who was that voice? Is that one of your guides or do you know?
I've just now been able to define who it is. And actually, I had a really wonderful and very cool experience at Sacred Awakenings with this.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. I know you weren't finished telling your story, but this is getting
That,
good.
no, that's okay. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, and there's been lots of serendipity then that brought me here to Santa Fe. Again, seamlessly, everything was very easy and beautiful. I mean, I already had lots of friends here, but I'd never wanted to live here. But
Mm.
it's been again just beautiful and seamless, loving being here. I live on 5 acres in the country. I could not be
Oh,
more
wow.
soulful. So,
That's amazing. You seem
yeah,
like grounded and like blissed out, like
yeah.
just,
Yeah, I can truly say there's moments where a lot of times it's right as I'm going to sleep or right as I'm waking up where I feel like my cells are all just vibrating. I'm in such huge gratitude for being here. So but the Sacred Awakenings event, it was so
yes,
interesting
let's
because
get to
yeah,
that.
because it was a week before the event. I had interviewed Nancy Yearout, who's an angel communicator on my show.
Okay.
And in the middle of that interview, she said, "Do you know your guardian angel's name?" And I was like, "No, you know." And she's like, "So just close your eyes. And if you ask, you're going to get a name." And before she even finished that sentence, the word Micaiah came. That name just
Oh,
came.
I like
And
that
then,
name.
right? Well,
What
there's
does that
actually,
mean? Do you know?
oh, well, yeah, I Googled it
Oh, you
afterwards.
did. Okay.
And there's an archangel Micaiah. I
Oh,
had no idea. I never heard that name before. I never even would have thought of that name. And she said, "Well, listen for the message." And
okay.
so when I listened for the message was, hold on, which was so interesting because my stepfather, who we call Pops, who I love and adore, had just been in the hospital.
Hmm.
And I was trying to debate if I would leave early for the Sacred Awakenings event so I could be there with my mother and he, who live in Fort Collins. And the angel was saying, hold on, hold on.
Mm.
So I directly got that it was about not leaving and going early. And when I checked with my mom later that day, he was actually out of the hospital and home and doing better. And so it was like, okay, this is okay. There was things I needed to do here first. So then, interestingly, I was so busy those next few days getting everything ready for the event. And,
Yeah.
I have a lot of interviews right now. People are interviewing me for my new book.
That's right. And you were
Plus,
selling your book at the event, which is a whole other thing because people wanted you to sign your book and you almost sold out. You
I
did a
did sell out.
Oh,
Yeah,
you did
I
sell out. Oh,
did.
okay. I was
Yeah,
like almost is
yeah.
that.
No, they were all gone. And
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. But because of that, I wasn't spending any time connecting with Micaiah. I wasn't,
Yeah.
and interestingly, I could not remember that name. I couldn't remember the name Micaiah. And I just had so much, I think, going on in my head and so much planning and driving 6.5 hours to go to Fort Collins and all the planning. So at the Sacred Awakenings event, if you remember when Reverend Sue Fredericks invited us to get in touch with our angels, and it was like the moment she did that, I kept trying to remember my angel's name and I kept writing M on a piece of paper. And the
Oh, but you
moment
couldn't
I
remember.
couldn't remember, but the moment Sue invited us to drop back in, it was like Micaiah. I mean, just right away, it was just there again. And interestingly, the message was around. I kept hearing these songs come in, which was really sweet. And it
Yeah,
was
I get
about,
songs as
do
messages too.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was about having patience.
Oh,
And, it wasn't about the event, but it was just about having patience, trusting again that the divine unfolding is happening and there's nothing but this moment. So to be in this moment.
ooh, that is a powerful one for all of us. So everybody listening, that's not just for Stephanie. That was for her to get that message and to share with all of us. So we appreciate you for sharing that. And I remember that. And Karen Noe did an exercise about connecting with our angels and distinguishing between the guardian angel and the archangels. And yeah, so my guardian is Gabriel. So that's my
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so that's always nice to have a name. But anyone here can ask for their guardian angel or just say, you don't have to know their name, just ask for
Mhm.
assistance. That's what I learned at Sacred Awakening Live. Ask for assistance. They're always there. So thank you for sharing that. So that was the voice. That was the voice of your guardian angel whispering in
Yes.
your mind, or
Yeah. Well, and that's what's been interesting is because it's always been a male's voice. And
Mhm.
so when I was first getting in touch with Micaiah, I was like, oh, it felt always like a male voice. And it was almost like I was hearing this laughter, like, who do you think it was? Like, it's always been me, helping to guide you.
Yeah,
Um, and it really, I have felt that guidance throughout my entire life, Charissa. I mean, it's just been a powerful, I call it, the inner GPS. It's my inner GPS.
yeah, that's incredible. So, since the title of this interview today is A Bringer of Love, Healing, and Wisdom, how are you a bringer of love, healing, and wisdom?
Well, I think it goes with what I tell everyone. If you look at the front page or the front page, if you look at the poster of my film, When Sparks Ignite, there's three words at the bottom, and it says, your period healing period matters, period. And that truly is my message for everyone, because as we heal, we become clearer conduits then for more love, more healing, more light to come through us into the world. And so I think of us as these conduits for the divine. And all of us, we get cobwebs in there, or we might have, I think about our essence as our spark. And so sometimes we have situations or circumstances that might feel like that spark is covered up. So our work is to excavate that, right? To continue to do our work. And I would say, Charissa, that's been huge in my life, that no matter what challenges have come, I've continued to do work, whether it's through a healer, through meditation, through therapy, sometimes, whatever it needed to be, so that I could continue to be that clear conduit, because I was very clear that that was the message to me. Is I knew my life's purpose was to bring as much love and healing to the world as possible through all my mediums, and so whether it's psychotherapy, whether it's a film, whether it's a book, whether it's one of my own live events or retreats that I've done, that is that's what's essential for me. And I think each person, every single person is a golden thread in the tapestry of humanity. And so our healing matters. Each one of your healing matters, right? So now more than ever, like to use that combined light that we have to help lift up humanity, to help lift up the world, because we know that our combined vibration, our combined energy, it is, and that is love. That's the strongest healing force in the universe.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, do you have any advice? Say someone is experiencing a challenge right now. Maybe it's a challenge like a health challenge or a challenge in relationship. What is the first step that we can do to get to a place of gratitude and seeing the purpose of this challenge?
Yeah. I think it's twofold, Carissa. I think one of the things I talk to my own, whether it's my transformation clients or psychotherapy clients, a lot of times what we talk about is reaching in and then reaching out.
Okay.
So the reaching in part is through mindfulness, through meditation, through being quiet. Sometimes we have to quiet ourselves enough, so that we can really hear those inner whisperings of our soul. So we have to quit the distractions, looking at our phone, being on social media, watching the news, all the different distractions. And I know, with families and kids and our careers, we all have a lot of distractions. So even if it's 10 minutes, I invite people to just go within. And sometimes it's just noticing where that emotion if it's sadness or anger or anxiety, notice where it's living inside of you. And
Mm.
it's not about trying to change it. It's actually bringing your breath and awareness to that place,
Mm.
not telling a story about it, not trying to, um, enhance it in any way. It's like, oh,
Right.
this
Because
is
that might
energy.
magnify it, right? If you have a story around it.
Yes. Yeah. Because when they've done studies with anxiety and provoked people, like did a fear response where someone would have a jolt and anxiety, the brain only lit up for 90 seconds. When people had a longer light up of anxiety in their brain and they started releasing more cortisol and adrenaline, it was connected to story. So as someone started telling themselves a story in their head, the anxiety increased. So this isn't about, oh, I want to focus on the story. It's like, oh, when I feel anxious, my chest is tight or my throat is tight. I'm just going to breathe into that space. So that's the going within. And then
Hmm.
the going without, that means going outside of ourselves to realize, number one, we're not alone. We are
Mm.
never alone. And the inner connection too can be connecting to your higher self, connecting to the divine, however you experience that. And then the reaching out is really, as you go with, I go without, this sounds bad. So let's say reaching out, it's connecting to other people that can be resources. And sometimes this is friends or family. And sometimes this is, a healer or a therapist or a guide, someone that can really help you gain perspective on what's going on. And it takes courage. It takes courage to reach out. And it's the essential piece. We don't have to do this alone. We're here to, I love Ram Dass, we're here to walk each other home. So please allow other people to hold space for you and to see you and witness you, because we all need to be seen. We all need to be witnessed, because that's a huge part of the healing.
Mm, yeah, that's so beautiful. And we're all innate healers. Our bodies are designed to heal. And sometimes, like what you're saying, I'm so glad I asked you this question about reaching out. It's like I feel like God put us here on this earth to help each other. Like we can all be angels on earth for each other to help each other heal.
I love that you say that. That's one of the things that I say so often is we never know the angel that we are for someone else.
Yeah.
Just greeting someone, just being kind to the cashier at the grocery store, just, letting someone in on traffic. We don't know how those positive ripples, those simple acts of kindness ripple out and affect other people's lives, but they're all important. They all matter.
Mm, yeah, that's beautiful. I can't believe all the times I've interviewed you. I felt like I've never asked you that question. And it's incredible, your answer. And you do have some content on Stream Plus. One of the courses you have is Living Wisdom for a Changing World. And you have some practices to keep you in a high vibration. So I wanted to show that clip. Can we play clip one, Jim?
One of the things that I love was this wonderful concept of three C's. And I love this. It's wonderful questions you can write down in the morning that help you really prime heart, mind, body, and soul how I'm going to move forward into my day. And the first C is, how do I take care of myself today? And that's going to look different every day, because today, the way I'm going to take care of myself, my routine every morning is I go into the backyard, I put my feet on the earth and my hands up to the sky, and I just drink in the sky. I soak it up, all the nature sounds around me. I'm so grateful and thankful to be in that beauty. And I receive whatever it is that the divine or the universe is bringing to me in that day. And then I move into gratitude. So the first way I take care of myself in the day is to connect with the earth. Think about it for you. What is the greatest way that you can take care of yourself? Nutritious food, moving your body, connection with source, whatever that is for you, whatever your higher power is. And then really getting into that grounded place, maybe through some breath work. And then throughout your day, I always love the end of the day, whenever it's even a little bit chilly out. One of the ways I take care of myself is a bubble bath and reading one of my favorite books. So those are some of the ways that you can really nurture yourself. The second C is, how do I connect? How do I connect with others? This has become so essential during this time. Not that we just connect outwardly, which is really important. I think we've learned now that even through Zoom, it's like we can really reach one another. We can feel each other's hearts. So there's really no separation. There's no time. There's no space. We need to reach out, though, to connect with others. And then I invite you to reach in to connect with yourself. Sometimes it's as easy as just wrapping your arms around yourself, literally holding yourself for a moment and telling yourself what you most need to hear. When you connect with your deeper self, you can say things like, I've got you. You matter. I see you, and I'm holding you today. So those are some of the ways that we can connect. And the third C is, how can I be creative today? And I love this because creativity, for me, a lot of times it's putting on music and I'm dancing in the kitchen as I'm getting ready for breakfast or dinner. Sometimes creativity is doing an art project or something that, is really a creative source, like writing. But creativity can also be like, I'm going to take a different way to work today. I'm going to use different neural pathways in my mind so that I'm actually giving my brain the sense of novelty. As we start our day with those three C's, it's absolutely beautiful and amazing how we can take ourselves to a whole nother level. And again, no matter what is going on in our world today, I think so often it's easy to get caught in the news or whatever social media is saying. This is a beautiful way to connect with what is really here and now.
That was wonderful. A lot of what you were saying before, but just like said in a different way. So, uh, so you also have a film on Stream Plus, and it continues to inspire people. Can you name someone in your films that left a lasting impression on you because of something profound they shared?
Gosh, there's so many people in that film that touched my heart so deeply, and everyone in the film became very close friends of mine. So now they're just an intimate part of my soul family. And here in Santa Fe, I live 9 minutes down the road from George and Sedina Cafanelli, and close to Larry Dossie and his wife Barbie. And all of those people, Jacob Lieberman, Stephanie Schwartz, Gabriella and Solomon Masala, Misa Hopkins lives close here in Santa Fe. Steve Behrman, who wrote Spontaneous Evolution with Bruce Lipton, and excuse me, and his wife Trudy. Every person at that event contributed in such beautiful ways. I think one of the things that stands out to me right now as I think of it, excuse me, I'm going to take one sip of water, is Stephanie Schwartz sharing, because I remember thinking when I read Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, that the tipping point for consciousness, I thought, oh, 51%. Boy, how did that ever happen? And Stephanie Schwartz was like, no, it's 10%. When 10% of any given cohort, whether it's a school or a church or a community, when they have a change in consciousness, the whole community has to adjust. It raises up the consciousness of the whole community. So that was so inspiring to me, because I was like, oh my gosh, that we have a chance. That's why each one of us are so important. We can contribute to that 10% tipping point. Some of the things from that film too, at one point we were talking about love, and not just romantic love, but like true love expressed in the world. And I remember Trudy Behrman talking about being a young girl and being so connected to the sky and to animals. And as she started talking about it, you'll see in the film, she just lights up and you see that little inner child. I mean, it is so beautiful. There's another moment while we were talking about love where Barbie looks over at Larry and is just talking about how grateful she was to have that in her life. And I love those two so dearly. And to see, I mean, and amongst all the presenters, again, one of the beautiful things about When Sparks Ignite is that you see all these behind the scenes conversations. It's really built on the premise. That whole film is about the difficult and challenging times that we face that then become the match point that ignites something within us that becomes our gift to the world. So you see the interviews in the beginning, one-on-one with some of these thought leaders, and they're sharing pains and challenges and things they haven't shared other places. And really saying, this is what was my stumbling block in my life, whether it was a health issue or a drug issue or a depression, panic attacks. You know, you start seeing it's like, yes. And from those things, then you see the next day, there were 12 of us and we all sat around a round table and we called it Lights of the Round Table. And we really shared from our hearts. So you observe this conversation between the 12 of us. And the third day, at the same place that we held Sacred Awakenings, we had our own live event. And so we brought it to an audience. We had about 150 people there. And so you see the progression of what it was like having this beautiful group of people. And for 3 days, I mean, we ate together, we sang together, we meditated together, we danced together. And so much of these little moments are caught on the film. And then again, what was so beautiful and important to me, just as it was important to me in Sacred Awakenings, all the presenters stayed in the audience, really holding that space and holding that message that really comes from Jacob Lieberman. And he says it in the film, that we are all the same height, which truly means we are all in this together. We are all equal and we are all one.
That's beautiful. So her movie is just incredible. It really touched my heart. It's called When Sparks Ignite. And I do have a clip to play. Can we play that clip from her movie, Jim?
The summit was designed so that the presenters actually stayed and became part of the audience, really holding a supportive field for each other and extending that to everyone in the audience. Truly to bring to point, as Jacob Lieberman says, we're all the same height. And you know, we're all in this together. I do believe as we allow ourselves to heal, we ignite the sparks within, and we're better able to ignite the sparks within one another. How would your life be different if you knew the challenges you faced were actually the match point within you that ignited something that then became your gift to humanity? If one of us can heal and transform our lives, how can we make our healing matter?
That just made me cry.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's so powerful. So powerful. And we do have a comment. Rosa says, Dear Stephanie, I love your energy, full of love and kindness. Thank
Oh,
you.
Rosa, thank you. Thank you.
So I wanted to shift to your newest book, which you show it there behind you, My Big Fat Juicy Life. How did you come up with the idea, and what do you want readers to take away from reading it?
Okay. And actually, it's your big fat juicy life, not my big fat juicy life.
I just said, yeah, so say the real title because I'm claiming that, obviously.
Okay.
I renamed
So
it for you.
that's fine. The title is Your Big Fat Juicy Life and Everything After. And
Yes.
so this book came into being A little over a year ago in March, I was interviewing Neil Donald Walsh for my show, and we could not get to the interview. We got on the recording together, and we just were having this heart-to-heart connection. It took us about half an hour to get to the actual interview. And at one point, you see him, he just has this download, and he drops in and he says, Stephanie, you're going to write your next book, and you're going to start tomorrow morning. And this book is going to have a global impact, and I'm going to endorse this book. And so I laugh, I say now, wow, well, when the guy who talks to God, all the conversations with God says
That's
you're going to write a new book.
That's powerful.
You show up the next morning and you write the book. But I woke up that next day, and, I share with people, it's so interesting to me because my first two books took 9 months each to write, like gestating a baby. And this was written in a little under 6 weeks. And as you know, the people that came in during that 6 weeks to be a part of this book, it was so incredible. It really is my own story. So I share things I have never shared because I felt like it's time that we do start having these conversations about these experiences that we have that are proof that death is not the end, that it's just the next chapter in our book of eternity. And so some of the people that came in to support that were Wayne Dyer's daughter, Sage Dyer. And then after I interviewed her, she said, oh my gosh, you've got to meet my mom. I think that, she's going to want to be a part of this book. So then I met Marceline, and she was a part of the book.
And the Dyer sisters are part of Stream Plus too. We have a lot of content from them. So
yes, which I love. And people like Ariel Ford and Stephen Simon, who's the Academy Award winning producer of What Dreams May Come. Suzanne Giesman, who is so much on the channel.
She's one of our top providers on Stream
Plus.
She has 7 courses. It's incredible.
Yeah, so I mean, she was absolutely phenomenal. Not only did she endorse the book, but just shares part of her powerful story.
That's an honor, Stephanie.
Absolutely. I just absolutely love her. And I'm so tickled. Just 2 days ago, she invited me to be a guest on her podcast.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm just thrilled. Yeah, I'm just thrilled. It's such a beautiful heart connection. And what I really want people to get from this book, to walk away with, and I feel like what was truly coming through, what wanted to come through, is how when we can befriend this concept of death, here in America, death is the number one fear people have. Even if they're not conscious, it's like this driving force subconsciously that can create anxiety and tension and clinging. And so when we're able to befriend the concept of death, and again, not that it's the end, it literally is just the next chapter, right? In our book of eternity, then we're able to really breathe into this moment. And this moment is the sacred moment. So when we can show up and be right here and be in alignment, this life does become this big, fat, juicy life, because this is where the juice is. It's in this moment. And so we can start living in that divine way where we're truly experiencing. I mean, if you could look out the window I'm looking at right now, I mean, there's this huge, beautiful sky, and flowers are blooming and the trees are budding. And it's just like, yeah, it's all right here. And so the other piece I think that's important in that book, though, because I have a very high baseline of joy, there's people that think, oh, she's happy all the time. And I am a very joyful person indeed. And I have had dark nights of the soul. I've had, huge challenges in my life as well.
Yeah.
And so there's a chapter.
We've been there together.
Yes, sister, we have. And so there's a chapter in the book called Growing Through Grief. And it really speaks to that. Part of having a juicy life is that we embrace the whole experience. And so there's times where we're going to feel sad or anxious, or we're going to have some of those other shadow emotions, but it's to embrace the whole journey. It's to hold the whole journey. Like Rumi says in his beautiful poem, The Guest House, He says this being human is a guest house. Every day there's a new arrival. A meanness, a depression, a sadness comes. And he says, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. And the last sentence of that poem is, you never know, basically, who has been sent as a guide from beyond. So it's really embracing the beauty of being in this life, that we chose to be here at this time and to have this duality of experience. So it also, what I love about the book is at the end of every chapter, there are what's called tapping in exercises, so that you read it and then it's like, oh, this is how I can assimilate this into my life. This is how I can create my own alchemical change within me, so that I'm not just reading a book, but this is actually helping to transform, heal, and expand my life.
Oh, that's exciting to have those practical exercises at the end. Well, I wish you the best on your book tour, your book selling journey, wherever that might lead you. Interviews with Suzanne Giesemann. Yes, only amazing things happening from it.
Thank you. Well, and I have to just share this too, because I'm so tickled. The other person that had reached out right after our Sacred Awakenings was Karen Noe, who I got to know and spend time with during Sacred Awakenings. And she invited me on her podcast.
She did?
So on Angel Quest. So I'm just so thrilled to just be able to connect, like for all of us. Again, it just says we're all contributing in this way. Our collective lights are so needed at this time. And so again, it's like not to look at, even though we have these incredible teachers, it's not that one person is higher or better than the other. We each contribute in our own way. And so if the way you can contribute today is to smile at a stranger and to be kind to the next person you run into, to be kind first and foremost to yourself, that's how we make change in this world. That's the tipping point.
Oh, beautiful. And if anyone has any comments or questions for Stephanie, feel free to put it in the chat. And I'd like to play another clip from your course on Stream Plus, Living Wisdom for a Changing World. And you're interviewing Sam Cawthorn.
Mm-hmm.
As we're looking right now at, these challenging times everybody's facing, what is an essential message that you feel like is important to share?
Yeah, look, and it has been very challenging, both financially, relationship, and even just, in our own mental and emotional and well-being as well. One thing I've found is that, sometimes when we're in the midst of a crisis, we get blinded by the opportunity that lies in that crisis. So I think one really important message we all must realize is this: crisis creates opportunity. That sometimes we actually need a crisis in order for things to change. Yeah, so sometimes crises are within our control. Sometimes they're not within our control. So for example, I had a major car accident a few years ago. I lost my arm. I wrecked my leg. Doctor said I will never be able to walk ever again. And, my life was completely turned upside down. I was a father of 2 kids. Husband, I was the only breadwinner. And then suddenly I'm now in hospital and doctor said I'll never be able to walk ever again. And certainly that was a significant crisis that in a way was outside of my hands. But something, looking back at that moment and I thinking that was the greatest thing that actually ever happened to me in a way. And the reason why I say that is because I then started a brand new career path. I then found my purpose. I found my passion. I found my calling. And since that moment, now I've become a professional speaker, written 11 books, shared my story in now over 40 countries around the world, and even shared the stage with people like Michelle Obama, Simon Sinek, Michael Jordan, Dalai Lama, and the like. So I certainly, looking back at that accident at the time, it was a significant, tough crisis. And that particular crisis was outside of my hands. Whereas sometimes I even create an actual crisis myself here within our one of our organizations and us. And we might say, hey, look, we're going to pull the pin on that, or we're going to stop that immediately, or we're going to disrupt that. But sometimes the crises that we create ourselves and the crises that we are just, experience, yes, these can create amazing opportunities, but it's just simply the lens that you look at these crises with.
How did that interview change you or shift you?
Well, the part that isn't a part of that clip, which was so powerful for me, was when he shared about his little girl seeing him in the hospital right after he had lost his arm. And, he was just talking about how there's these moments of levity sometimes in these, horrible experiences. And his daughter had gone up to him and she said, "Dad, you lost your arm." And he said, "Yes." And she said, "Did they find it?" and he just kind of started laughing. And she's like, because she thought maybe if they found it, they could just put it back with some sticky tape and it could be back on there. And so, but I mean, his attitude, and I've worked with him at Speakers Institute. He is just such an inspiring individual, because what he is saying, that's really who he is. He's one of these people that his life before he lost his arm was much more self-centered, was much more, he wasn't contributing, he would say. And then after that, it just shifted his entire life. And the Speakers Institute is such a beautiful, oh my gosh, thing in Australia, and people can access it in America online. But it really was about him creating then this vision of how can we take these opportunities that come out of these difficulties to create positive and significant change in our world, in our life.
That's so inspiring. And you have a podcast too, Igniting the Spark, and it has inspirational guests. What can a listener expect to learn from that show?
Well, I feel like that show, and gosh, it's so wild. Starting February, I mean, we've been going 7 years. And so I've just been blessed to have incredible guests during that time, whether it was Bruce Lipton, Larry Dossey, Lynn McTaggart. I just feel like I could go on and on. Laura Byrne, you've been a guest on my show. I've had Steve, Neil. I mean, I can't even begin to name everyone. There was so many, Mark Nepo. But these beautiful guests, it's people that are really making substantial change in the world. So it's people who are really contributors in psychology, spirituality, and science. And that's really been the message, again, to help people learn how they can ignite their best lives. So that's really been at the heart of that podcast.
That's amazing. So what's next for you? Like, what are you excited about? Are you focused on your book?
The book right now, I mean, I just have so many interviews booked for the next few months. And that's so fun. I mean, I love connecting with people this way. It's so beautiful. And a couple of weeks before the Sacred Awakenings event, during a dream, I had, do you know what a pitch deck is for film? So it's like, picture, picture.
Startups too, entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah. So it was almost like, I almost laughed too, like a Rolodex for those of us that were back in the Rolodex days, but it was picture after picture of presenters that were going to come together and to do an event here in Santa Fe, the end of September. And so I had spoken to one of my newest dear friends here, Jane Pinto, who does the Rose Circle is her organization. And she's like, she and I went to coffee right before Sacred Awakenings. And she said, I will absolutely help promote this event. I want to do this. And as I spoke to people like Cynthia James, who was at, our Sacred Awakenings.
Oh, she's incredible. That was my first time meeting her and
Oh,
experiencing her. Wow.
yeah. Yeah. So she actually was one of the presenters at my Becoming Fierce event, which
Okay.
is one of the things that I'm working on right now too. It's a 6-part film series that's, where we just have 2 rough cut episodes. There'll be 6 episodes. But Cynthia was one of the presenters at that. And so when I spoke to her at the event and I said, I'm doing this in September, it's just all starting to come through. She said, oh, I'll be there. I want to be there. And same thing with Lisa Campion, who was also at our event.
Oh, you guys are really connected, you and Lisa Campion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She is just a dear, dear soul sister. And
Yeah.
so it's
And
like,
I got to hang out with them too, by the way. That was really
yeah,
fun.
that was really fun. Well, and Lisa and I, it's so wild. We were thinking we've known each other for about 6 years. And
Oh,
we've been
wow.
on each other's show, both of us several times on each other's shows. And that was the first time we got to hang out in person with each other. And we were just like, this is the best, and we had gone out for coffee the day before the event and just got to spend really sacred time with one another. But yeah, so I mean, so the new film series, I would say, continuing to do talks with the book and being interviewed for the book, and then just seeing what wants to come through for this event in Santa Fe in September. That's kind of what's on the horizon.
That's exciting. Well, you've played and continue to play so many roles in your life. Which personal or professional role would you say has left the deepest impact on you?
That's really an interesting question. I don't feel like any of my roles have left an impact on me. I would say when I let go of my roles, I mean, it's in the moments like this morning, when I'm just meditating in my meditation room. And really right now, one of the big things is being a part of the crystalline grid here in Santa Fe. And so just really holding that space and being open to, again, those messages from the divine, from guardian angels. When I am walking these beautiful dirt roads and I'm hearing the birds singing, like this morning with my dog, that's the juicy life, right? That's the most wonderful thing, to continue to be that conduit. So it's through those experiences, it's like filling my tank and then being able to really contribute in whatever way I can, to be the most loving person I can, to allow that divine healing to come to me and through me, to help hopefully, whoever is in front of me, and whether they're my clients or my friends or my family, to me, that's the very best.
That's beautiful. Well, as we're wrapping up this interview, do you have any inspiring thoughts to share with our audience?
I would just invite people to just take time today to really just drop into your heart, to really just put down your phone and give yourself just those 2 minutes where you breathe into your heart, bring up something, a memory, or it can even be, looking outside at the sunshine, but bring that sense of joy into your heart and let that expand, because the healing of the world starts with you.
That's beautiful. Thank you for saying that. I felt like that was a perfect way to end, because the title of this interview is A Bringer of Love, Healing, and Wisdom. And Stephanie is empowering you to do that, to be a bringer of love, healing, and wisdom. So thank you everyone for joining us. And Stephanie's film, When Sparks Ignite, and her program, Living Wisdom for a Changing World, are available now on the Stream Plus platform. This Stream Plus platform just keeps getting better and better every week. There is more content on here, and I can't even keep up with all of it. It's so incredible. You can raise your consciousness with a Stream Plus platform, I would say, in as little as 2 weeks. No guarantees, but join Stream Plus now and gain immediate access to these incredible programs. We also have hundreds of other spiritual teachers and other programs, and we're proud to say Humanities Stream Plus is the largest global streaming platform for consciousness raising masterclasses and transformational education. We are a nonprofit and give back with our One for One program. I wanted to thank Steve Farrell. Yay, it's his birthday. Dee Meyer and the production team, Jim Gray, Garth Catterall, Andy Gutsky, Karen Weissert, Nanette Kennedy, and the rest of Humanities team, and especially you, Stephanie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Charissa.